Have you ever taken an image URL and then you put it on your website and that image becomes broken? Although you take the same URL and you paste it into a new browser and that image opens fine? Have you ever written a JavaScript code and when you try to execute it, you get this error? Or maybe this error? Or maybe this error, right? So all of these are a result of what is called cross-origin resource sharing. Okay, a resource have certain policy to be shared with certain domains, and this is what we're gonna discuss by example with code and all that stuff, and when are you gonna get an error and where are you, how do you actually fix it. We're gonna talk about pre-flight options and all these kind of stuff in this video. But if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Hussein, and I discuss software engineering by example, and I have talking about a lot of software engineering topic. My main specialty is geographic information system, where we discussed actual geographic information tutorials and with ArcGIS, but I also talk a lot about databases. I talk about Python programming. I talk about a lot of software engineering topics like proxies and stateful versus stateless and a lot of other stuff. So consider subscribing if you're new to this channel. And with that said, let's jump into the video. Alright guys, so the first thing we want to do is spin up a very simple web server that only serves GET response. Alright, so I'm gonna use Python for that because it's really compact, but you can pretty much use Node.js, Express to do the same exact thing. So it's very easy to read. As you can see, there's one application. I am gonna run it. It's gonna listen on port 8888, and it's gonna tell me that. And when someone makes a request to the a GET request, right, to the slash, which is the root, which is localhost in this case, or the machine name slash on the port 8888, I will get served this text. So it's a text back, okay? It's a very simple thing. So let's go ahead and run this so it can show you, right? And we can take it from there. Okay, so now my application is running on port 8888. So let's go ahead and then execute a new browser, 8888. And as you can see, I'm getting back the results that I expected, correct? Served successfully. Okay, so what happened here is the same browser requested immediately to that site, okay, and it was returned. So let's show you some debugging here so you can actually see. So let's go ahead and refresh, and immediately I can get the results. You can see that the function got called, and you can step into it. It's pretty cool. Visual Studio Code is the best thing. So you go ahead and just write that back, and that will just loop and send back the results, which is here, served successfully. Okay, and that's applicable. That is allowed because you are currently on the same domain. You are executing this request from the same domain, right? Because you are localhost 8888. You are the same thing, okay? However, let's try to go to my website, HusseinNasser.com, and let's simulate that I am going to execute that same request but from this site instead, and it's very easy to do that. I can inject some code here, but you can as easily just open the console, the developer tools in the visual Chrome, and you can essentially write the code which requests, right? So let's go ahead and do that, and that's the fetch command. Okay, if you do fetch, then you do http localhost 8888, which is the same request, right? And all you have to do is just do, hey, when you get the results, I am expecting text, and then literally just print that thing, okay? So that's the fetch command, which is a built-in, this is the new version of the XML Ajax stuff, which is like from 20 years ago, right? So this is the new stuff. This is the fetch command. You can call it pretty much from any browser. So if I do that, again, I am going to get the this debugger. But if I do that and then go back, you can actually see there is an error, right? Let's see if you can, guys, if you read the error. It says access to fetch at localhost 888 from origin HusseinNasser.com has been blocked by course policy. Why? Because no access control allow origin header is present on the requested resource. Okay, so the requested resource, we have successfully, if you think about it, okay, we have successfully reached the resource, but the browser denied you the response because that resource did not did not have this header that allows it, says, hey, if you don't see that header, that means only I can access this, okay? Only localhost 8888 can see and consume this resource. If you see that, then that result essentially can also access that resource. So what's the solution, right? The solution is, it's very simple, okay? Since they are expecting a header, and for security reason, you want that, right? You want people from HusseinNasser.com to make requests to your resource, which is in this case localhost. It could be any other site, right? Think of it this way, okay? What you're gonna do is essentially do self.setHeader, and then literally that's the header we want, right? But what's the value of the header? What do we want in that? This is exactly what we want. We want HusseinNasser.com. If someone's coming from HusseinNasser.com or the same origin as the hosted resource, which is localhost 8888, then they're cool. Allow them to consume that. So let's go ahead and try that. Okay. So now we just restarted that, if you noticed, and then if I do that, what we're gonna do is we'll set the header, we'll return that header back, and then we will write that result. Okay, so now we're actually getting that result back. Served successfully. That is pretty cool. And then if you go to network in Chrome, you can actually see, right? So the first request did not have that. It had only content link, content type. The second request actually had that. And then the browser says, Hussein Nasser, allow origin HusseinNasser.com. Where is this request coming from? It's coming from HusseinNasser.com. You're good. But let's go to Google.com. And then let's do the same thing. Let's try to make a request from Google.com to our resource. Okay, let's do that. If I do that, then same thing, it's gonna send you the resource. Do you guys think it will succeed or what? No, it failed with a different error. This time says, hey, I do see access control allow origin header, but it has a different value than the value that you are calling from. You are coming from origin https google.com, right? But the header says like only HusseinNasser.com is actually allowed to make a request to this resource. I'm sorry, I'm gonna block you. Okay, so that's another way you can prevent that. So how can we fix that? How can we allow everybody to make a request? It's very hard. It's very difficult to do that. Okay, that's how you do it. It's a star. All right, it's a universal thing. Okay, just do an asterisk instead. Right, and that's the code for Python, right? But you'll find for Node.js is slightly different, but it's the same thing. You set the header with the exact thing. I don't want you guys to set randomly headers that you don't know what's going on. I want you to understand why you are setting each header. Each header means something. Each line of code means something. And that's what we try to preach in software engineering by example in iGeometry. right? You don't copy and paste code, guys, from Stack Overflow. You gotta understand what's going on. All right. So So now we understand that. So let's make a request. There's an asterisk. Let's see if we can actually make that. If we go back, ooh, served successfully. All right. Are you guys ready for the next thing? Okay. What are we going to do next? The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do more stuff. Okay. We're gonna do so far. What we did is we explored the ability to make a simple request like this one. Our request did not have fancy headers. If you think about it, the request has the method and pretty much what is it? Yeah, request headers didn't have much. Origin, refer, that's it. But now I'm gonna make a fancier request. Okay, and fancier requests are basically have you can add headers, and you will need to add headers at some point, right? Headers like for example, one of the famous headers are X requested with, right? And this tells the web server that, hey, this request is coming from blah, okay? It's just metadata, it's just information, okay? But you can add pretty much any header you want here, as long as the web server understands it. But one of the headers that actually popular is we need to add. So in the fetch command here, boop, we're gonna add another JSON object here, comma JSON object, and one of the objects here is called headers. Okay, and header is just an object, right? Right. So we're gonna add a header of type content dash type. Okay, and the content type is, I'm gonna lie here. Okay, I'm gonna say the content type is JSON/application. Okay. I'm not used to the zooming, guys, so sorry about that. So learning. Okay, so now I sent a request, but this request, the browser says, oh, wait a second. Oh, you're doing some complex stuff, son. All right, I can't let you send that. I have to check with the server if he or she or they allows that or not. Okay, so how do we do that? Right? We're getting an error. What's going on here, guys? What's going on? Options? What the hell is options? What's options? Okay, so let's understand this. What's going on here? The first request that we made, that was a simple request. He says like, okay, all right, son. You're trying to make a simple request. You're trying to make a GET request. It's a GET. Okay, let's just send it and see what the server responds. And if we noticed, immediately we were immediately got here. But now, if you have noticed, we did not hit the breakpoint at all. So our code did not get executed. The browser did something fancy. It tried to do something else. What did the browser do here? Okay? So that's the question we're trying to answer. So this is what's called a pre-flight options request. And the browser does that when you try to send a complex request like this one, okay? A request that the browser is not really sure. There's a list of a lot of things that options are sent, right? So what happens here is the browser says, okay, you're sending a content type JSON application. I can't just send that. Maybe you're trying to flood the server with stuff. I can't let you allow to do that. I have to ask the server if that's even permissible. Okay, so that's what the application did. Okay, so the browser actually sent an options method. So I don't know if you're familiar with methods. HTTP methods are get, post, put, delete. I've never seen delete used actually, or put for that matter. But post and get is the most used one. Options is used a lot, but it's all hidden, right? Options is used primarily by the browser to just let the browser, the servers know, hey, what can I do with you? What is allowed? Because that's the utility of options essentially. And what happened here when it failed, essentially, it says the server responds, hey, what is options? I have no idea what is that. So it says like method not allowed. This application responded with method not allowed because guess what? I did not implement the options method in my web server. Okay, so now guys, if you're using like an Apache, Tomcat, or IIS, most of this stuff is configurable. You don't write that code for you, but I do recommend guys you dive deep into the raw web server application, write it from scratch to fully understand what's going on, right? So if you write this and go back to IIS, oh, it all makes sense. All these configurations make sense. You can configure everything in IIS, by the way. All right, let's not go back. Let's not get away of. Yes, let's stay online, guys. All right. So how do I do that? Okay, I need to implement options. Okay, define options, and literally what you do with options is you can set a status. The options usually is an empty response. You don't send anything in the body. You just send headers back telling the browser you want this very light. Remember, this is an expensive call the browser makes. So you don't send a lot of garbage back, right? You only send information that is absolutely required. So let's do that. Okay. So set what? Not set here. Set status. The status is 204, which means nobody, I think. All right. And then you do self.finish, which just says, hey, poof, I'm done. Okay. I believe you can do it without that, but just having that, let's see what will happen. Now, let's actually put a breakpoint here. How about that? And restart this thing. And then you come here, and then let's go back to these, and then let's make a request again. Oh, look at that. Now it's catching. Now it's catching. Nice, nice. All right, so now we're just calling the options, sending it back. Was that enough, guys? You think that was enough? No, sir, it was not. So now we're getting a different error, okay? I'm sorry if that video is long, but I like to just explain everything, guys, okay? This kind of videos that you don't just, you try to understand the whole thing, okay? Access to fetch at localhost 8888 from origin Google has been blocked, right? And the reason is response to Preflight request does not pass access control, right? Why? No access origin is presented. And that makes sense. That's the first error we got, guys, remember? That's the first exact error we got. It wasn't there. It says, hey, you did not give me that request, right? Because we were right. That wasn't there. Remember, the code got executed here. We did not send that header back, right? So to send that header back, copy and paste. Okay. Now we're getting into duplicating, but that's easy to fix. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the code and how pretty it is now. Just like worry about what's going on now. Okay, let's do this. Now it's just like, hey, if you execute the options, now we're gonna let them that, hey, okay, access, what did you ask? He says access control origin. Okay, guys, I added that for you. All right, now what? Are you gonna allow me to execute that? Okay, options. Let's go back. What? We got another error. And that is the error that we want here. Okay. So the first one was the course, right? The cross-origin resource policy. The second one was, okay, the browser says, hey, okay, I can call this option method, right? So the first error was, you don't even have the options method. We implemented the option method, right? So the browser returned, hey, you're okay, there is an option method, okay? But the second one says, okay, oh, I got an option method, but you don't have this header. I want to know if I can call you or not, okay? Am I allowed to call you? We added that. But now we get the third error, which is now says, hey, I am trying to send a request called with a header called content type. Remember the content type? That's what we're trying to send, like a JSON application, right? But the server did not say that it's okay, right? Because what did the server respond? Let's see. What did the server respond? The server respond with, oh, that's not, yeah, that's like a little old. Let's make a request again. Okay. So the server responded with no content, right? And that's what we did. We implemented that and we responded with the access origin, but we're not allowed the content type. We need to see if I can make the content type or not. So how do we do that, right? And that we need to allow content type essentially, right? So, and that is essentially what is called the access control allow headers. Okay, so what we need to do is we copy this guy, we paste it, and then we say this header is now access control allow headers. What kind of headers do you allow? Okay, and then you say content type is allowed, and then you start comma separating and adding more and more headers. Okay, let's see that. Content type is now okay. You can send me a content type. You can also specify that, hey, you can only send me content type of type JSON or protocol buffers or whatever. You can go that finer granular with latte. I can't pronounce that word. Granular. God damn it. Granularity. Okay. As you can notice, that guys, the English is not my first language, so there is some trouble here. Okay. All right, so you get the allow origin. Everybody is allowed. It's an open house. Content type is allowed. And no, oh, did you see that? Did you see that? Ooh, that is amazing. Okay, now we go back and ooh, we execute get because now you're cool, right? So now I would imagine there was a result. Look at that, guys. That's amazing. Okay, so what did we learn today? We learned a lot of things, right? We learned that the course actually is a very rich functionality. It's a rich policy, and you have to understand all these kind of headers and errors and headers and based on now that you understand the concept, any error you get, you can just dissect it and just try to make your web server start to accept that. Okay. You can get into a lot of kind of errors. I can't go through all of them, but anyhow, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get a lot of software engineering by example content. All right, check out this channel. Check out my podcast. I talk a lot about geographic information systems and software engineering too. All right. And I'll see you on the next one. You guys stay awesome.